thank you so much for being here, Nika. It's great to have you join. I'm a member of the leadership team at River of Life, and we're trying to understand how our church can better connect with our community. So it's an honor to have you offer some ideas and input for us. So first, just could you give us a little bit about your background, your sense of calling, and how you ended up as state representative of this community here?
Yeah, well, unlike my parents, I dedicated my life to God at a really young age. So I was about 3, just reading some children's Bibles. And I asked my aunt, is this true? And that just started my faith walk in a really simple way. And I grew up in a family where it took a lot longer to grasp that my parents were believers, but they led a kind of a wilder life when I was younger. And so we had a lot of poverty, a lot of crime. And at the same time, we had a lot of love. So my extended family and my parents really championed me and made sure I knew I could do anything. And that's the spirit that I bring into politics, is noticing some of the challenges that either drive people into difficult situations or they find themselves born into them. And the champions in our neighborhoods and our families can help everyone to rise above that. And so that's sort of my mission as an elected official.
Wow. So Nika, you've lived in JP neighborhood about 17 or 18 years.
Yeah.
What does the JP neighborhood really mean to you?
Well, as an elected official, I think in terms of the district. And so I've actually lived in JP, Mission Hill, and Rosendale. Never lived in Brooklyn. I have a lot of friends there. And I often joke that it's like a body. And so JP is like let me start with the soul. So Mission Hill is like the soul. It's got that deep heritage. A lot of people that have been there for many decades, and they've held on to that land, which is really powerful. And a lot of development there for the people who have lived there for decades. And then you have JP, which I joke is like the head. Like we like to think a problem to death or talk a problem to death, which is necessary. So that's where I live, and so I fit right in. Brooklyn's like the heart. It's got a lot of old Jewish labor and a lot of organizers and activists that remind us why we do the work of justice. And Rosendale, where we are right now, I call it the hands and feet because the people of Rosendale are all about what are we going to do in our neighborhood, in my community, in my library, in my schools. If we're talking about immigration, what are we going to do for our neighbors who are immigrants? If we're talking about incarceration, what are we going to do for our neighbors who are incarcerated or who have family members? So all taken together, I think we have just a way of approaching justice across our district that's really powerful. It's why the unity of the district is so important to me, and why I want JP to become increasingly aware of the diversity within it, not just in terms of where people come from and how they look, but what I love about JP is that there's also a diversity of approach under the same umbrella of justice for all.
So as you were spending all this time running for office and knocking on doors, what were some key themes that you heard from people about what they really want for elected officials in this area?
Right. Well, in JP and Brookline and Rosendale, Mission Hill, all neighborhoods in the district, I heard the same thing over and over. People want integrity, they want transparency, and they want justice for all. They want somebody who's going to boldly fight for justice and not just make exchanges to get, special gifts or contributions to our district, which are important. But even more important than that in times like these, especially with our federal government being the way that it is, people want somebody that's going to fight for everyone. And so that was an exciting fit for me.
Yeah, that key theme of justice. How does that play out even with you as a Christian? How do you navigate some of these all these different understandings of justice?
Well, that's an interesting question because, as a devout believer, I recognize that my conception of justice and even the human conception of justice, much like our conceptions of love, are not like God's. And so it's a constant effort to discern and to understand what God's love and justice looks like. One of the things that I have noticed from Scripture and from just my life as a devout believer and follower of Jesus is that love and justice can't be disconnected from each other. And there's no person or type of person that God loves or respects more. And so that's the attitude that I bring into everything from policy to meeting people on the street. Making sure that the three pillars, housing, healthcare, and education, are really taken seriously as pillars that everyone needs equitable access to. So Massachusetts decided a long time ago to do that, to make that decision of access for all. With education, we were the first state to do so. We enshrined it in our Constitution, and then the United States followed, so public education is your right. We recently did that with healthcare. We need to also do that with housing. And so what I'm really looking at in populations are who has been systematically or structurally shut out of opportunity. So we're looking at youth up to age 26 in our district. We're looking at elders who I allow to self-identify, people who identify as elders, often shut out particularly of workforce development opportunities and career development opportunities. We're also looking at LGBTQ plus populations and the disability community. And a special population to me is people who are incarcerated. So these are groups who in our district, people across all neighborhoods kind of have on our minds. But it's not because they're particularly in need as much as the power that they have and the opportunity that should be presented for them is kind of repressed by some of the structural decisions we make actually in policy about how we enforce laws, what laws we have, what laws we don't have, how we use public goods, how we use tax money. And these are the kinds of decisions that need more of a justice-love combo articulation or framework brought in. And I'm not the only person bringing that in 2019, but I'm excited to be one of them.
That's powerful. Yeah. So thanks for sharing about those specific populations. Where do you see a gap between kind of what people are desiring for the neighborhood and what's being offered that our church could potentially help fill that gap?
Right. One of the things I love about our district is that it's really simple to get involved. There's so many activists, there's so many programs, and people from age 4 to age 94 are doing a ton of stuff. So it's really about finding the dates and the times where things are already going on and just showing up. Not even as a helper at first, just as a participant, and building those relationships by showing up. A beautiful thing about our district is that people are so welcoming and people are consistent in showing up for youth events, for street events, for parties, for backpack collections for kids, for the days that businesses open up their doors to promote what they're doing on Center Street, in Hyde Square, in Mission Hill. These are the kinds of events that are going on all the time. So open up the JP Gazette or whatever part of the neighborhood you're in. Look online, go on Facebook, and just figure out where things are happening. Show up and be part of it, and it'll become clear, how to join in communities if you're spending time with people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that idea of each person going and opening the newspaper and figuring out one thing that they see that they would like to join in.
Something that is natural for you. But you do have to get past that initial risk of maybe people looking at you funny and wondering why you're there. But after that couple of awkward moments, that consistency is the key. And I think our district is great at embracing people who want to be part of it.
Mm-hmm. So do you have any other recommendations for how our church or Christians in general can really be part of what God is doing in the local community?
The beautiful thing about our faith is that God isn't asking us to be anybody other than who we are. We believe that God created us and designed us, however that came about, with intentionality. And so that means God is delighted for us to be exactly who we are in every setting that we're in. And so I would not over-programatize it. I would encourage members of the congregation and visitors to just be part of what they see going on in their neighborhoods where they live, and maybe together here in Jamaica Plain, beyond Jamaica Plain. There's just a lot going on that people would just be delighted to have consistent friends who were showing up and being part of things. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for being here with us this morning and offering your insights. It's really helpful as we re-envision how we do church. So thank you, Nika.
Well, keep me posted.
Mm-hmm.